We want to take a minute and discuss some of the employer responsibilities that come with the Affordable Care Act, sometimes called Obamacare, but which most people have shortened to ACA, and we will too. Since some of these provisions relate to payroll and employer reporting obligations, we will discuss all of them in Session 2, the same as we do in Chapter 2 of your workbooks. They seem to fit better here than anywhere else in Module 3. The first thing we want to mention is the Medicare surtax. You may remember that unlike Social Security, the Medicare tax applies for all employee incomes no matter how high. Well, to help pay for additional Medicare coverage under the ACA, a surtax was created on incomes over $200,000 or $250,000 for married couples filing jointly. So if Joe has a salary of $210,000, he has $10,000 in income over the $200,000 threshold. Therefore, that $10,000 is taxed at an additional 0.9% or $90. This amount must be withheld by the employer. Now, let's say Joe's salary is only $150,000, but his wife also has a salary of $150,000. Neither employer is required to withhold the Medicare surtax, but when Joe and his wife file their return, they're going to have earned $50,000 in excess of the threshold. 0.9% multiplied by $50,000 would be a tax liability of $450, an unwelcome surprise on anyone's return. As a professional tax preparer, you would gain an added measure of trust from your clients who fall in this range if you merely remind them to make the necessary plans ahead of time. Another important feature of the ACA is what's called the employer mandate. This means that large employers, meaning those who have more than 50 full-time equivalent employees, must provide adequate health care insurance or face a penalty. Full-time equivalent, or FTE, employees means any combination of full and part-time employees, including seasonal employees, equal to one full-time employee who works at least 30 hours a week. Finally, there are several reporting requirements that fall on employers under the ACA. The first of these is a notice of insurance coverage to new employees. The ACA requires employers to notify all new hires with a written notice about the ACA's health insurance marketplace or exchanges, regardless of their plan enrollment status and whether they are full or part-time. This notice must be provided within 14 days of the employee's start date. Other reporting requirements include disclosure of the total amount of insurance coverage on each employee's W-2. This has been in effect since 2011. There's also another reporting requirement connected with the patient-centered outcomes research fee, a kind of excise tax, which we address in more detail in your workbook. Every employer that provides minimum essential coverage to an individual through an employer-sponsored group health program must report specific information to them using Form 1095B, health coverage. This information is also transmitted to the IRS with Form 1094B, transmittal of health coverage information returns. Finally, large employers subject to the shared responsibility requirements must report specific information to the IRS using Form 1095C, Employer-Provided Health Insurance Offer and Coverage, and to the IRS with Form 1094C, Transmittal of Employer-Provided Health Insurance Offer and Coverage. This is by no means all of the employer responsibilities under the ACA, but these are the main ones, and we're going to refer you to your workbook for the other details. In this section, we discussed important accounting concepts that directly affect tax calculations, such as accounting periods and methods. We have also discussed the importance of proper record keeping and particularly the regular generation of the income statement and balance sheet as tools to use in making important business decisions. We also discussed business taxes that must be submitted regularly to federal taxing authorities. In the next chapter, we will move on to the financial components of tax calculations.